In this video, we'll see how to work with Git. So the first thing is, let us create a GitHub account. Then we shall go and create a repository. On the left hand side, you can see one new button. So click on that and you will be able to create a new repository. So this will take you to the create new repository page. You can have a lot of options like giving the name, make it public or private, or add files like git ignore or readme file. So let us give some random name and let's add a readme file. Then we could create the repository. So there you have it, your first repository with the readme file which is containing the title of your repository. If you click on that code button, you will see few options coming up. Here is the link which will be used to clone your particular Git repository onto any local machine. So just copy that particular link and save it. Like just click on the clipboard option, it will automatically copy it. So now we will clone that particular repository onto our local machine. So go to the folder in which you want to download that local copy, then open the git bash. Now once the git bash is open in that particular directory, what we can do is clone that particular repository onto that machine by using git clone followed by the URL that you had copied, and press enter, and this should be downloading a copy from the remote repository to our local repository. So if you open that, you will see one git readme file. So if you open that readme file, you will find it as a markdown language. So now let's start creating one file which we want to track. Then let it be a text file and let us name it as first file or something. Let us open that file and create some random data also. Say some text like this is my first file. Now let's save it, and in the git bash itself, let's see if the git has detected these changes. So if I do a git status, it should show me one file is untracked. So you can see that as the text file itself. Next thing what we'll do is we'll add this to the staging area by the git add command. So git add followed by the file name. It should copy this state from this working repository to the staged area. So you can see the change in color of that particular file. Generally in a project there will be many files that we do not want to upload to our remote repository, something like a zip file or something. So let us create a zip file that I do not want to track, while that is I do not want it to be copied to the remote repository. So if I want to ignore that file, what I have to do is I have to create a file called as a git ignore file. So I can create a git ignore file by touch.git ignore. So it should create a git ignore file in the particular directory itself. There you can see it. Open it with the text editor, and if I want to remove all the zip files, or if I want to stop tracking all the zip files, what I have to do is I have to make an entry. Currently you can see the zip file is also in the untracked file. So what I'll do is I'll add this zip file into the git ignore. So if I want to remove all the zip files, what I have to do is use the wildcard star followed by the extension .zip. So I will save it, then I do a git status again. Now you can see only the change is in the git ignore. Now I am not tracking the zip file. So now I'll add this git ignore file to the staging area. So I can add git add followed by git ignore .git ignore. Now if I do a git status, I'll see that all the files have been into the staging area. Now if you want to remove a particular file from this staged area, what you have to do is you have to use git reset followed by the file name. So let us remove the git ignore file first. I'll remove the second. Just stick with the status. Okay, now it's in untracked. So if you want to reset or if you want to remove all the files, you just use git reset without any particular file. Now similarly, if you want to add all the files to the staging area, you can give git add followed by -a. So this should add all the files to the staging area. Now what we have to do is we have to commit this particular thing into our local repository using the commit command. So what I can do is git commit followed by -m, then the quotes which contains a git message or commit message. So it should be very specific. So for this example, we'll try it as my first commit. So if I commit and do a git status, it will show as nothing to commit, working on it. So if you type git log, you will see all the commits that have been made from that machine. So you can see that each commit is given with a particular hash key. So these hash keys are unique for each command, and it is through this hash keys that each commits are differentiated. So for the time being, just understand that this particular key is unique for each commit. Now the changes that we have made is on to the local repository only, because this is not reflected on our remote repository. So what you have to do is we have to push this to the remote repository. So the command that you will use is git push. So if you type git push, automatically the files that are committed into your local repository gets reflected to the remote repository. So once we have done that, we'll go and check our web or the GitHub page, and you will be able to see that those changes are seen with the correct git commit messages. Now there is a general workflow in which should be followed. Before you push any commit to this remote pages, you actually have to pull, so that any changes that have been made by some other users using this repository will be reflected before we commit. So for that, we use the git pull origin master command followed by the git push origin master. The main use of this comes when multiple people are working on the same repository on various features. So this ensures that all the changes made by the other person or other developers are reflected before you commit to that particular code.